you've probably used a wallpaper like this for your phone or seen somebody using it for their phone. It's very popular, and it uses all of the same techniques that we've actually practiced in Illustrator up to this point. This one has a couple extra elements to it, but we're going for this style, this bubble gradient style. You can use different size ellipses, you can make ovals, you can make abstract organic shapes, as long as you apply the free gradient tool or freeform gradient tool and the gradient mesh tool to your project. So I have a sample here of one that I've been working on that worked for mine, and it was turned into a ping file, and then I can actually put it into this mock-up, which you're going to be using for this project. So where do we begin? First of all, I had to set up a template for you. This is actually set up in pixels rather than inches. It is also set up for screen, which is RGB, rather than CMYK. CMYK would be for if we were going to print this, but because it's going to have to be backlit with your phone, you want to use an RGB setting. So we need to first open this up and create a layer. So I'm not going to have this for you, so I'm going to delete that. We're going to call this first layer background. So I want you to create the first layer. That'll be your background layer. Then we're going to make a new layer, and we can call this bubbles or blobs, and I'm going to lock it. The first layer, the background layer, is going to be made with our rectangle. We are going to turn the stroke off, leaving the white fill for now. And I'm going to stretch it across my artboard. And we have done some sketches that have prepared you for this. So you want to have those sketches out so that you can figure out where these bubbles are going to be, or these blobs. We're going to use a freeform gradient for the background, and then use the mesh tool for the blobs. So I'm going to click here, go again into my properties, open up my gradient options, and turn on my freeform. Now we're working with a pretty big space, so you're going to probably want to use more than 4 colors, and I would definitely consider moving these around so they don't look like they're perfectly right in the corners, and maybe even think about like going from light to dark. So I'm going to think about going maybe from light in the left hand corner to darker into the other corners. Okay, and I am kind of liking this pink, so I'm going to stick with that for now and see where this goes. I can completely change my mind and make some edits if I want to. And I like this color, but I'm going to go a little bit darker, just a little bit. All right, nice. That actually happened pretty fast. All right, there you go. Okay, now my background has been made, and I'm going to work on my bubbles. So I'm going to use my paintbrush or pencil for this. I like the pencil. I'm going to choose a white fill with no stroke, and I'm just going to start designing according to my sketch that I had. The line's going to smooth out automatically for me. And if I want to, I can take the pen tool and do some curving if I want to. Going in. I can even take away an anchor point just because I think that's too many anchor points. Okay, so I thought I had the fill turned on, but for some reason it turned off, so I'm going to go ahead and add the fill, and I'm going to take away the stroke. We do not want outlines on these. These are supposed to look like they're floating, and the lines will be distracting. So I'm going to use my mesh tool to grab about 3 to 4 areas, use my white arrow tool to start adding some of those values. I don't like that. I'm gonna switch. You can use different colors, but you want to try to stay with kind of the same family of colors as you're choosing them, so that this design doesn't look completely chopped up. That's the key. So it's okay to be random, but then at the same time being conscious of what kind of color scheme you're using. So I'm going to try to stretch some of these. It does affect the value and the quality when you do start messing with the anchor points, so just be careful as you bend. And I'm just experimenting, seeing what looks good, what doesn't look good, changing as I go, maybe moving the white over, spreading out this magenta a little bit more to create kind of like a 3D look. Be thoughtful, mindful of where you're placing these things. Okay, I like it. I just want to try to maybe add a little bit of value into that area there. And like I said, white is actually not that bad to add in places because it can make a nice little highlight and end up making things look a little more three-dimensional than you thought. Okay, and then of course you have the option to move these wherever you want to. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my pencil, I'm gonna keep drawing blobs all over my artboard, and then I'm gonna be ready to get set to save it and export it into Photoshop for my mock-up.